Hi guys and girls, Gallifrey Forever 97 here. In today's discussion video, I'll be going through my personal top 5 companions I'd like to see return in Series 12 or even a future series. This list was suggested by a viewer of the channel Joe Bowers, so shout out to him for the awesome video idea. In this list, I've tried to go for options which are very feasible with choosing the companions, for example with the actors still being alive, and not choosing companions either that have had their lives ruined by the Doctor, e.g. being dead, trapped, or not being able to remember who he is. Gosh, it does make you think how dangerous is travelling by the Doctor's side when you state the facts. The companions I've chosen for the list are companions that haven't had their stories completed. So for example, Rose Tyler and River Song, who are rumoured to return every series, have had their story arcs completed and endings given, so bringing them back would undermine that and ruin their character's demise. Whilst also giving you my reasons for why I want this to happen, I'll be also going through the potential storylines which could be feasible for the upcoming series and how their characters return would migrate into Series 12. Before I jump into my top 5 list though, let me know in the comment section below what your picks are for returning companions, which could be either from Big Finish or books, from the Rider range, or from past companions I haven't mentioned. So number 5 we have Canine, the infamous robot dog, primarily a companion to the 4th Doctor in his era, but he has had many owners over the years, including Romana, Sarah Jane, and he also met the 10th Doctor in 2006's school reunion. The last time the metal dog was seen in the Doctor universe was of course the Series 4 finale of the Sarah Jane adventures, where Mark IV was helping out Sarah Jane from Luke Smith's university digs, as in the opening of that series, he went off with Luke to university and wasn't seen again in Series 5. Of course, he as well went on to star in his own show, Sat Out of the Whoniverse, an Australian TV show, which to be honest, the least said about that the better. Take note, Sony. Canine could return as either like a new model, which is built by the 13th Doctor, if she still has some of that Sheffield steel lying about, which was of course used to create the Dalek and the Sonic. Could go as a really kind of funky look for Canine. Alternatively, you could see the return of Mark IV. He's obviously of course under the ownership of Luke Smith, which is Sarah Jane's adopted son. This would of course open the door to revisiting the gang from the Sarah Jane adventures. This could be the opportunity to give the Sarah Jane characters a fitting end. Seeing 13 as well react to her best friend's death, similar to what happened to the Brigadier's character in the Series 6 finale, The Wedding of River Song. I was up to the showrunner though, which would kind of fit in with the Series 7 tone of like death and grief. But of course, where the Sarah Jane adventures Series 5 left off, it kind of left the door open for them to have many more adventures, which is quite a nice ending, but I guess again it's up to the showrunner. I don't think Kane will work though as a permanent companion, because it could be used to get the gang out of situations, a bit like they use a Sonic in this series, and also in the Tom Baker era, that happened a lot with Canine. It was quite an easy fix for the plot. I think it would be hilarious though to see the companions react to him, as he is so retro, and then also giving them an insight to her past lives. At number 4 we have Jo Grant, who was primarily a companion to the 3rd Doctor in the 1970s. She was at the heart of the unit family with the Brigadier, Captain Mike Yates and Sergeant Bentham. It really was the golden years of Doctor Who, but sadly she mostly left the show at the end of season 10 in the Green Death, which marked the beginning of the end of the unit family. However, she's been in many Big Finish stories which have developed more of her personal story, which we've seen on screen. However, in 2010 she returned on screen in the Doctor universe with the Sarah Jane adventures alongside Matt Smith and Elizabeth Sladen, playing the 9th Doctor and Sarah Jane. More recently, she appeared in the season 10 Blu-ray box set trailer with on and off-screen husband Professor Clifford Jones, aka Stuart Bevan, in a nice little scene where they return to fight the maggots at the original location where the story was set. She's familiar to modern Doctor 2 audience members, so she needs no introduction. It could take a similar story structure to School Reunion, where the Doctor meets Joe and Clifford when they're both investigating the same case. Maybe even Yaz, working as a police officer, could find them and they both realise that they know the Doctor. Now this would be a dark and hard-hitting storyline, but I think we had a story with Joe and Clifford. I think either one of them would have to go and die due to the events of the story. I know Joe's death has already been set in Big Finish, so I think Clifford's character would be more hard-hitting with Joe's reaction, and kind of seeing how she would react against the Doctor coming back into her life and bringing chaos, which have kind of amped up with the character of the Doctor in the modern series. This would also work as a very eye-opening thing for the companions, seeing how the Doctor could have an impact on their lives, maybe even setting up their end fate with the 13th Doctor. I know that's a really harsh storyline. I do think it would fit the tone that a series owner kind of set itself. Another option as well, you could also reintroduce Unit. You could have Martha and other characters, including Kate Stewart and Osgood. Either way, to be honest, if we get more adventures with Jo and Clifford as a spin-off, fighting off more alien threats that the Doctor isn't there to take care of, I'll be happy. Number 3, we have Ace, companion to the 7th Doctor, who started at the end of season 24 in Dragonfire, and then obviously ended in season 26, where they both famously walk off into the distance, ending the classic run of Doctor Who. The pair are one of the most famous and likeable companion and Doctor duos. The character of Ace lives on through Big Finish, with the further adventures with the 7th Doctor. You've got adventures of her on Gallifrey, which kind of lines up with what Andrew Cartman wanted to do with the character in season 27, sending her to be trained on Gallifrey. Most recently though, she took the internet by storm with a trailer for the season 26 box set, which sees Ace 30 years after survival and the 7th Doctor coming back for her. Or it could be any Doctor with an umbrella. We don't see Sylvester McCoy on the screen. But in that, she works for an organisation called A Charitable Earth. See what they did there? This also lines up to references in the Sarah Jane Adventures and her appearances in Class. The great thing about the end of the classic series is that obviously there's multiple different timelines, and we don't have a definitive ending for the character. So it would be a question for the showrunners whether they want to give a definitive ending or carry on the story. Now, I recommend a fan series called Doctor Who Velocity. They have a version of Ace in that story from the 1980s, and they actually get Sophie Orchard to cameo in it, which is absolutely amazing. But they have their own kind of take on their character and the kind of direction that they would have took the character after Survival. So I think it would be cool if Doctor Who Series 12 did this similar if they were to bring her back. Rusty Davis, who bought the series back in 2005, created the spin-off Sarah Jane Adventures and Torchwood. He originally had plans to bring the character back in the Sarah Jane Adventures in a future series, but due to obviously Elizabeth Sladen's death, this didn't come to be. So I think if they were going to bring her back, I think they should consult Russell T to see what plans he had for her to return and kind of translate that into an episode for the series. I think he is a creative genius. I think it would have been interesting to have sort of Chris Chibnall and Rusty Davis kind of talk it out and see what they would want to do with the character. It would be great to have a kind of definitive account for the events for Who fans of her character after Survival, maybe combining all the different versions of the best bits from like Big Finish, the comics, the Virgin novels, making them canon, similar to what they did with Paul McGann in Night of the Doctor. My number 2 choice is Captain Jack Harkness, the immortal time agent who was introduced to us technically in episode 2 of series 1, The End of the World, as the face of Bo, but actually is first introduced properly in The Empty Child. Jack primarily travelled with the 9th Doctor and had further one-off adventures with the 10th Doctor on screen. He had his own series as well with Torchwood, which is continuing today, even though it's not on screen thanks to Big Finish in various forms. There were big rumours before Series 11 that Jack and Gwen would return in that series. They're of course false, as most rumours are, but I think if they were asked, I think they would jump at the chance to reprise their roles on screen. I personally didn't like Miracle Day. It didn't feel like Torture anymore. It just kind of felt like a generic form of an American TV show. It kind of took away what Torture was. I would see Jack and 13 reunite back in Cardiff, kind of echoing back to the Rusty Davis era. This is of course where the show is primarily filmed, which is in BBC Welsh Studios on Cardiff Bay. Rest in peace, the Doctor experience. But I think it'd be great to see the banter between Jack and 13, kind of his reaction to New Regeneration, catching up on sort of what they've missed, talking about the sort of resurrection of the Time Lords, all that stuff. Maybe having the possibility of a sort of companion-like episode, having the 13th Doctor teaming up with Gwen and Jack on her own to solve a mystery in the city. There are also other storylines which could be chosen from. So you've got the transition between Jack and the face of Bo, exploring Jack's past, or visiting the time agency, which you've never seen. The only issue with this though is that if you're exploring something which is left a mystery, it kind of ruins that. For example, the Doctor has teased as many times as the audience of certain past events which we've not seen on screen. And in all honesty, I think stuff like that, the imagination does work better than what would be put on screen. All in all, I do think John Barron would be a great addition to re-establish into Doctor Who, with Gwen as well, who's played brilliantly by Eve Miles, to join the Doctor and co on Earthbound adventures. And my number 1 choice is the OG companion, echoing back to the start of Doctor Who, with the Doctor's granddaughter Susan, played brilliantly by Canine Ford, in the first 2 seasons of the original show, alongside William Hartnell as the Doctor, Jacqueline King as Barbara, and William Russell as Ian Chesterton. She left quite early on though in the second season of Doctor Who with the second story, The Dalek Invasion of Earth, where she left to start a life with a man she just met, David. That does tend to happen. Most Doctor Who fans in the classes, you tend to find will sort of meet a guy in the story and just decide to leave a Doctor and start their life with him. That happens a lot in classic Who. She did return on screen for the 5 Doctors, the 20th anniversary story in 1983, and the audios have continued her adventures, delving into her life with David, the kids they've had, meeting the 8th Doctor, looking back into her past before the very first on-screen episode. Post the new series of Doctor, however, we've had brief mentions to the Doctor's family and Susan as well in passing. Her fate is unsure though after the events of the Time War. Did she go help fight? Is she still on Earth in the same time zone she was dropped off? I need answers. I think based on previous comments, I think the Doctor is too scared to check. So after living such a long life, and obviously being many lifetimes ago, plus after the Time War, I don't think she wants to find out if she's dead or not. I don't think she wants to face that fact. But I guess with time travel, anything's possible. I'm sure the Doctor will be able to recognise her. It may be a situation like River Song where she doesn't recognise the Doctor straight away. But it would be amazing to kind of build upon mythos, get reaction to the current incarnation, the 13th Doctor. I guess she'd be her grandmother now. In Twice Upon a Time, I thought they missed out on a great trick with not doing this and bringing back Susan for that special. Having the reunion of the first Doctor and her, and then her seeing the future incarnation with 12, and I thought that might have been his decision to carry on and regenerate, but obviously that never came to be. But it would be a must-see fan-pleasing moment, reuniting the Doctor and her granddaughter. It could open the door to explore the origins of the Doctor more, give an on-screen look to Susan post the Dalek invasion of Earth, maybe even wrapping up the character, giving us a new incarnation maybe. The possibilities are endless. So I hope you enjoyed this video counting down the companions I want to see return. As always, please comment, like and subscribe. Links to all the channel's social media stuff in the description below, including Facebook, Twitter and Instagram pages. Comment down below your choices of what companions or other characters you want to see return to Doctor Who, telling us what ideas you have for their return as well. Thanks again to Joe Bowers who suggested the video. If you have any ideas of discussion videos or ranking videos you'd like to see me do on this channel, let me know again in the comment section below, and you'll be credited as well if the video idea is used. As a quick note, I'll be at the BFI South Bank this weekend on the 14th September, which is Saturday, at the Mindwalk screening, and also the next day I'll be also in London meeting Tom Baker at the London Film Fair. So if you're either of those events and see me, please feel free to come say hi. It'll be great to chat with you. I may do a video on the whole weekend because I'm also doing the Quiz of Rassilon again, so please smack the like button if you want to see that. But until then, hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll catch you next time. As always, thanks for watching. Bye bye.